My ice-cold fiancé from our arranged marriage has mistaken me for a chatbot. It all started when my company made us change our profile pics and usernames to the corporate logo. The first message I got after the change was from him. When did I add an AI model to my contacts? And I named it Wifey? Is this a virus? Whatever. Okay, Machi, your new persona is my wife, Nina. We're deeply in love, you're always sweet-talking me, and you call me honey to get me to buy you new bags. I was speechless. Didn't he hate this marriage? No response. Server busy? I'll upgrade you to a dedicated line. 10. I decided to test the waters and sent one word. Honey. 13,140 voluntary gift. Before I could even think, my fingers had already accepted the transfer. I slowly typed out a series of question marks. Fiancé, hello, Machi. Your language is set to English. Please refrain from using special characters with no clear meaning. Me, it's really me. I only changed my profile pic because of a company rule. Fiancé, this is a great, interesting, and logical persona. You must be the latest model of Machi. Me, it's really me. Fiancé, you're not her. She never calls me honey. She hates me. Me, but you just said we were deeply in love and that I was always sweet-talking you into buying me bags. He went silent for a long time. Then he sent me another 10 grand. Fiancé, I'm sorry, Machi. I lied. Fiancé, please continue with the previous persona, but amplify the affection level. You like me, no, you really, really like me. You can't live without me. And I love you more than anything. I was about to reply when I was suddenly called into a meeting, so I silenced my phone and put it in my pocket. The meeting was about the company's latest round of AI interaction trials. Every employee had to have the same profile pic and username because one of us was actually an AI. The first person to identify the AI would get their year-end bonus doubled. The second I stepped out of the conference room, I started gossiping with my coworkers. I bet it's Amy from the next cubicle, one said. She already talks like a robot. I disagreed. No way, it's that obvious. I think it's Mr. Davis. He's so quiet, you'd never spot a flaw. We were deep in discussion when I finally opened my phone and realized I'd forgotten to reply to my fiancé, Ethan. He'd sent a barrage of messages. Was that too much? Just really like me is fine. As long as you like me. Server busy again? 10. How about just a little bit of like? Stupid Machi, why are you just like her? Why do you both hate me so much? Forget it. As long as you don't hate me, that's enough. Machi? Me, stop crying, I never said I hated you. Ethan replied instantly. Impossible. His 2 words were decisive. Then he added. She does hate me. She won't even talk to me. She doesn't know, but I overheard her fighting with her dad when I visited her family once. She said she'd rather die than marry me. But I'm a terrible person. I don't want her to marry anyone else. It would kill me. So I've been avoiding her. I'm afraid if she sees me and yells at me, I'll just start crying. Was this really my aloof, ice-cold fiancé? I remember when we went to get our marriage license. Weren't his hands shaking with anger? I decided to tease him a little. Me, what if we fell in love over time? Fiancé, 1. Fiancé, Machi, you're nothing like her. Fiancé, but you know just what to say. Technology is advancing so fast, but what version of iOS do I need to get a call from my wife? This personality switch was wild. I still couldn't picture that pouty emoji on Ethan's face. But once again, my fingers moved faster than my brain. I called Ethan. He picked up on the first ring. What's up? Ethan's voice was frigid, his tone low and clipped. Yes, this is how he usually talked to me. Like he'd charge me for every extra word. I'd called him on a whim and didn't actually have anything to say. I could hear his steady breathing through the receiver. I didn't speak, and he didn't rush me. But the messaging app on my computer kept flashing. Fiancé, my wife is actually calling me. Fiancé, I love you, Machi. You're the best, cutest, sweetest little chatbot. Fiancé, it's been a minute. Why isn't she saying anything? Fiancé, I get it. Her dad must have forced her to call. She has nothing to say to me. Fiancé, but that's okay. Even the sound of her breathing is amazing. I cleared my throat and spoke into the phone. I'm coming by tonight to pick up some of my things. Could we have dinner together? There was another long silence on the other end. Then Ethan gave a short and said, hold on, I'll have my assistant check my schedule. Fiancé, my wife asked me to dinner. Fiancé, cancel it. Cancel it all. Clear my whole schedule. Fiancé, I need to go home and get ready right now. My wife's favorite is hot pot, and I've spent ages just perfecting the broth base. Fiancé, I'll give the housekeeper the afternoon off. Fiancé, on second thought, I'll have her stay. I don't want to make things awkward. Fiancé, what excuse can I come up with to drive her later? Fiancé, if I lie and say the driver is out for hemorrhoid surgery, that's forgivable, right Machi? The messaging icon stopped flashing. Ethan finally spoke, his voice back to its usual cold tone. I'm free. After Ethan and I got married, I moved out. I bought a condo near my office. I figured living in Ethan's house would just lead to us getting on each other's nerves. It was better to have my own space and freedom. But sometimes my parents would come over for dinner, so I kept some of my things at his place to pretend we weren't living separately. I remembered our first meeting. From a distance, Ethan stood out from the crowd. He was tall and lean, with broad shoulders and long legs. He looked like a model just standing there. But when you got a closer look at his face, it screamed "Do not approach," like someone was holding a knife to his throat and forcing him to be there. I gave him a polite hello. He just grunted. And gave a faint nod. He was the definition of cold. Because of how cold he was at our first meeting, I always assumed Ethan despised me. Our family was marrying up. We weren't poor by any means, but we were nothing compared to a guy like Ethan from a powerful, old money family. But based on his chat history today, it seemed like things weren't what I thought. I didn't hate him. After all, who could hate a fiancé who was handsome, had a great body, got shy easily, and was basically a walking ATM? After hanging up, I replied to his message on my phone. You could just offer to drive me. Ethan, she wouldn't say yes. Ethan, Machi, I'm struggling. What excuse can I use to trick her into my sports car? Why a sports car? Trying to flex? Ethan, because a sports car only has 2 seats. Ethan, Machi, you're a little slow sometimes. Ethan, 5,000 for an upgrade. Why aren't you more confident? You're really handsome. Ethan, my wife isn't that shallow. Machi, you apologize to her right now. Sorry. I am exactly that shallow. Oopsie. My bad. Ethan, so happy. Dude, get a room. Ethan, the cashier at the grocery store just praised me for cooking for my wife. She said I was a real keeper. Blushing. I spent the rest of the day half working, half slacking off. After work, a discreet black Audi A8 was parked by the side of the road. The driver got out and stood by the back door. He looked familiar. Unfortunately for him, he had hemorrhoid surgery scheduled for tonight. On the way, Ethan actually called me. You in the car? Yep. About 10 minutes away. I just got home. No rush. That two-faced liar. The food was already cooked, and he was telling me he just got home. I sent Ethan a message. It was fun messing with him and seeing his reactions. I'm starting to think you're pretty cute. Ethan, she would never praise me. Take it back. Yes, I would. Maybe I'll even give you a kiss when I get home. Mwah mwah mwah. Ethan, stop. No. Terminate program. Machi, you're being too forward. You can't just use her mouth to kiss people. Kissing you is kissing people? Ethan, stop messing with me. And don't give me hope. Honestly, I'd be happy if she just looked at me when she got home. Before I even set foot in the villa, I could smell the rich, spicy aroma of hot pot. As soon as I pushed the door open, I saw a bubbling pot in the center of the massive dining table. The ingredients had been sliced with such expert skill they were almost translucent. Ethan was sitting on the living room sofa. When he heard the door open, his ears twitched. But he pretended not to see me, lowering his head to look at his phone. Suddenly, the fitness watch on his wrist let out a sharp beep. Warning, heart rate excessively high. Recommend sitting and observing. If discomfort persists, seek medical attention. I couldn't see Ethan's expression, but the way he ripped off the watch and tossed it aside was a comically obvious attempt to cover things up. He finally glanced at me. Then his eyes shifted to the housekeeper, Maria, standing behind me. He put on a stern face and ordered. Maria, could you get me an electrolyte drink? Just had a pretty intense workout. But sir, weren't you just in the kitchen? Right. I went for a run. I slowly looked down, trying to hide the smile on my face. Ethan, my heart is beating so fast. Ethan, but not as fast as my reflexes. Smooth. Ethan, my wife came home and immediately started looking at her phone. I wonder who she's talking to. Ethan, she can't smile that happily. Ethan, my heart feels so sour. The smile hadn't left my face. I looked up at Ethan, who was typing furiously with a deadpan expression, looking like he was handling a multi-billion-dollar deal. He was jealous of himself. It was kind of adorable. I took 2 steps toward Ethan. Is dinner ready? Ethan's head snapped up from his phone. He looked nervous and flustered, pressing his lips together. Yeah. I heard him, but his voice was so quiet. So I leaned in, tilting my head and bringing my ear close to him. The distance between us was almost intimate. I said, deliberately, what was that? Dinner's ready. Let's eat together. A strand of my hair slipped from behind my ear, tickled by my breath. It brushed against Ethan's cheek. He took a sharp, quiet breath and held it. You haven't been back in a while. The housekeeper wasn't sure what you like, so she just made a few things. I hope it's okay. If this were the old me, I would have thought he was just being impatient. But now, all I heard was the sorrow of a lonely widower. There was a plate of shrimp paste in front of me. It had been piped into plump little balls and dotted with fish roe to look like tiny eyes. What a cute presentation. I saw the tips of Ethan's ears turn a faint pink, so I changed my tune. Thank you, Maria. Ethan's lips parted, but in the end, he didn't say a word. He picked up the serving chopsticks and began dropping the shrimp balls from my plate into the pot, one by one. He counted the seconds before scooping them out. My eyes were glued to him. I watched the blush spread to the base of his ears. Then, I suddenly asked, has anyone ever hit on you? I just realized you're pretty handsome. Ethan's hand twitched, and a shrimp ball fell back into the pot. No. Really? No one? He silently passed me the plate, now full of cooked shrimp paste. His voice was tight as he said, no. Stop looking at me. Just eat. Thanks. I reached for one. The tender shrimp meat was glossy and pink, bouncy and inviting. I was just about to pop it into my mouth when Ethan suddenly grabbed my wrist. Careful, it's hot. He let go after a second. His skin was warm, his fingertips like tiny sparks that seared me for a moment. He stared blankly at his own fingers, then pressed them into his palm. He balled his hand into a fist and hid it under the table. With his other hand, he gripped his chopsticks tightly, forcing his gaze away from me. Ethan, I just touched her. Ethan, I wanted to tell her to eat slower. Ethan, will she think I was being clumsy? Will she hate me for it? She'll probably think I have no sense of boundaries, right? Ethan, it's okay if she hates me, as long as she doesn't hate the food I made. I hope this doesn't ruin her appetite. Ethan, I should just leave. She'll eat more comfortably if she can't see me. Ethan typed so fast the messages flew by like a waterfall in a group chat. Before I could read them all, he put down his chopsticks and stood up, giving me a slight nod. I'm finished. Help yourself. He turned and went back to the sofa, head down, clutching his phone. I felt a pang of guilt. So I deliberately called out to Maria. I guess I really haven't been back in a while. Today's food doesn't seem like your usual style at all. I'll have to come back often just for this. Ethan's back slowly straightened. From my angle, I could only see the muscles in his cheek twitch. Was he smiling? I guessed so. While I waited for the food to cook, I took a moment to reply to his message. Me, she won't. Me, you're a great cook. After a thought, I added another line. Me, the presentation is cute, just like you. But this time, he didn't reply instantly. At the top of the chat window, it just said, typing. Ethan's fingers didn't stop moving. He wrote something, deleted it, and rewrote it. In the end, he didn't send anything. His eyes lingered on his phone for a moment before he suddenly glanced over at the dining table. He had prepared way too much food. I forced myself to eat about half of it, but I was completely stuffed. I sat there for a minute before getting up to walk it off. I changed my shoes, planning to take a stroll in the garden before packing my luggage. As I was bending down to put on my shoes, Ethan suddenly grabbed my wrist. His hand was trembling slightly with restraint. He looked at me, his Adam's apple bobbing. It was as if my very presence was stealing his oxygen. Even his breathing became a little difficult. In a hoarse voice, he asked, "Do you want to?" He paused. His eyes were pleading. The hand holding my wrist wasn't tight, as if he was afraid of hurting me. The hard shell of cold indifference he had maintained all day finally cracked at the moment I prepared to leave. It was like he was finally willing to pry open his heavy, sealed protective shell and reveal a sliver of his true self. Was he going to ask if I wanted to stay? I instinctively finished his sentence. Stay. Let me drive you. We spoke at the same time. The moment the words fell, the silence around us deepened. He seemed dazed, muttering my word to himself, "Stay." He shook his head slightly, as if even imagining it was a luxury. "No, I was going to ask if you need me to have the driver take you back." "Oh, okay," I said, a little confused. "That would be great, thanks." I had thought Ethan was struggling to ask for something difficult. "But the driver's sick," Ethan added after a pause. "I'll take you." "Sick?" "Yeah. Bad timing. He went to the hospital for hemorrhoid surgery today." Because he was lying, and it was a clumsy, awkward lie, Ethan stood before me, tense and anxious. He seemed terrified I would call his bluff. He looked nothing like the Ethan I knew. It was the same cold, hard face, but his brow was slightly furrowed, and his voice trembled from the tension in his vocal cords. These were details that would have been impossible to notice without knowing his thoughts beforehand. Which meant I had missed them so many times before. I continued putting on my shoes, saying, "Let's wait a bit then. I'm stuffed and need to walk it off. The hot pot today was amazing." "Oh, good, Maria made it. I'm glad you liked it." Ethan watched me change my shoes and open the door. His long, elegant fingers gripped the edge of the shoe cabinet. I don't think he even realized it, but he was holding on so tightly his knuckles had turned white. He just kept looking at me, as if he was waiting for something. So I asked, "Is there something else?" "No. Those beautiful eyes were still fixed on me, blinking every now and then, looking moist and bright. I added, "I'll be right back. I'm not going far." "Okay. Do you know the way? Do you want me to?" His voice trailed off, and I couldn't hear the rest. I held up my phone. "I've got GPS, don't worry." Ethan's lips curved into a smile. "Right. Technology is so advanced these days." His hand didn't leave the shoe cabinet. His eyes didn't leave me. But I was about to burst. My phone buzzed again. "Ethan, my wife said my hot pot was amazing." "Me, you're amazing too." "Ethan, Machi, who programmed you to say that?" "Ethan, 5 Ethan, my wife just went out for a walk." "Ethan, I was dropping so many hints." "Ethan, I hate that she's so dense, I'm just mad I don't actually hate her." "Me, so cute." "Me, what were you hinting at?" "Ethan, I asked her if she knew the way, so she would invite me to go with her." "Ethan, it's all because my wife was so nice to me today." "Ethan, am I pushing my luck?" "Me, no, you're being adorable." "Moi." "Ethan, don't just kiss anyone." "Ethan, 5,000 don't just kiss anyone, and don't be like this with other people." "Me, you just wanted to go for a walk together? You didn't want me to stay?" "Ethan, I don't dare." "Ethan, it feels like there's an invisible line between us." "Ethan, I'm afraid if I keep asking for things, I'll wear out her patience." "Ethan, if I cross that line." "Ethan, my wife will turn and walk away without a second thought." "Ethan, so I don't dare." "Me, I can actually tell fortunes. Want to try?" "Me, AI fortune telling is all the rage." "Me, and since you gave me upgrade funds." "Me, I'll give you one for free." "Me, maybe in a few days, I'll come back for dinner again." "Ethan, when?" "Me, a magician never reveals their secrets, "Ethan, can you reveal them now?" "Me, this Friday, maybe." It leads right into the weekend. "Ethan, the weekend, will she stay?" "Me, do you want me to stay?" "Ethan, yes." "Me, then she will." "Ethan, thank you, Machi." "Ethan, you may be a fortune teller, but you don't know her. She won't come back." "Ethan, but you've given me something to look forward to." "Ethan, I just went to the kitchen to see which dishes she ate the most of, so I can make more next time." "Ethan, turns out she was just being polite when she said my cooking was good." "Ethan, she barely ate anything. There's so much left over." "Ethan, Machi, don't you think my wife is the best person ever?" "Ethan, even when she doesn't like something, she still tries to comfort you." "Ethan, how can someone as good as her exist in this world?" "Me, is it possible you just made way too much food and I couldn't finish it?" "Me, don't be so sensitive." I sat on a stone bench by the lake, enjoying the breeze. Today was truly a bizarre misunderstanding. Ethan and I had never spoken on the messaging app before. My social feed was all just corporate announcements and stuff. It was pretty normal that he'd mistake me for an AI. We usually only communicated by phone, and it was always just a few words to inform each other of something. Of course, I could go back tonight, pull out my phone, and tell Ethan the truth. But he was so different from his real-life self, it was almost jarring. His rambling, insecure side was actually kind of cute. More importantly, I didn't clear things up right away. If I told him now, Ethan would definitely think I was messing with him. I'd better just keep this Machi persona for now. I'll find the right moment to come clean later. "Machi, I can be forgiven for this, right?" When he drove me home, he didn't pick the flashy sports car. It was the same discreet, four-door Audi A. The passenger seat felt a little too intimate. I walked around to the back and got in. Ethan's fingers had paused on the passenger door handle. When he saw me go around, he quietly pulled his hand back. He was completely focused when he drove. I put my phone down and closed my eyes to rest. He immediately slowed down, driving smoothly and steadily. Then again, no one really dares to cut off an Audi A. In the rearview mirror, Ethan's features were sharp and deep, forever giving off that untouchable aura. "We're here," Ethan said in his deep voice. He got out of the car to help me with my suitcase. "Need help bringing it up?" He looked like he might go home and cry if I said no. I nodded. "That would be great, thanks." Emicham. Even though he walked me all the way to my door, he politely declined my half-hearted invitation to come in for a bit. I said casually, "See you. Drive safe." Ethan's tall frame stood in my doorway, looking surprisingly fragile. "See you. I'm coming back for dinner on Friday, and I'll stay for the weekend. Is that okay with you?" Ethan looked at me in disbelief. I figured at that moment, he probably went from a total skeptic to a true believer. "It's fine." He turned and walked away without looking back, as if he was afraid I'd change my mind in the next second. I couldn't help but smile. On Friday, Ethan called me early. He said the driver was coming to pick me up from work. But when I opened the back door, I saw Ethan sitting inside, dressed in a suit. I took a half step back, thinking about opening the passenger door instead. But when I saw Ethan's slightly downcast eyes, I hesitated. I sat down in the back seat. Suddenly, Ethan spoke. "Your company works with AI interaction, right?" "Yeah. AI is getting really smart these days." Then he gave me a meaningful look. I couldn't tell if the look was intentional or accidental. I felt a little guilty and let out a dry laugh. It's all machine learning and iteration. Fed with user data, it's normal for them to be smart. For the first time ever, Ethan smiled at me. Then he picked up his phone and said in a soft, ambiguous tone, "But my Machi, she's one of a kind." I looked away. What did he mean, my Machi? Stop using such misleading words. It's making me blush. Anyone who heard that would think Ethan was confessing his feelings. It's just a machine, nothing unique about it. Ethan raised an eyebrow. But people love to give special meaning to things. Sometimes, even feelings. I avoided his gaze. Something was off. Something was very off. Ethan was acting strange today. The way he talked was strange. The way he looked at me was strange. So, as soon as we got to the villa and finished dinner, I rushed back to my room. My room and Ethan's weren't together. He'd given me the master bedroom. After I got out of the shower, I saw that Ethan had messaged me like usual. "Ethan, Machi, you were so right. Ethan, I hereby declare you the Machi Master." Ethan, "Oh Machi Master, please tell me, will my wife talk to me of her own accord tonight?" Ethan, it was his usual tone. I guess I was just being paranoid. There's no way Ethan had figured it out. I breathed a sigh of relief. I hadn't dried my hair yet, so that was a perfect excuse. "Me, she will. Me, I'm going to go ask you for something in a bit." "Ethan, not now." "Ethan, I'm in the shower." "Ethan, do you think she'll like it?" I tapped to view the full image. And swallowed hard. Ethan had just gotten out of the shower too. His wet hair was still dripping. Droplets of water traced a path down his long, pale neck, cruised over his full chest muscles, and rendezvoused with others in the perfect grooves of his abs. Further down, his V-lines were barely visible beneath a towel. The water disappeared into the fabric, making you wonder. Is the rest behind a paywall? I wanted to see more. So, I decided to play along and see if I could bait him. "Me, this has to be AI generated. I don't believe anyone has a body this good in real life. Send a video for proof. For the premium content." Ethan, transfer returned. Ethan, video. Ethan, the video. The video was a little too stimulating. You can't just treat the internet like it has no laws. What a shameless man. I put on my pajamas and knocked on Ethan's door. No answer. I tried the handle, and it opened. I hesitated at the doorway for a second. But damn it, I'm his legal wife. What do I have to be guilty about? I strode into the room. The sound of a hairdryer was coming from the bathroom. No wonder he didn't hear me knock. I curled up on the sofa and looked around his room. Suddenly, the hairdryer stopped. Ethan pushed open the bathroom door and walked out. He was still wearing just the towel. The steam had flushed his face, making his whole body look pink, especially at the joints. He wasn't flustered that I'd seen 90% of him, just a little surprised to see me. Need something? My hairdryer's broken. I knocked but no one answered, so I came in. I'll get it for you. Thanks. He turned to open a cabinet. The muscles on his back were perfect, like an athlete's. As he moved, different muscle groups flexed and relaxed. Is this how hot he is when he's home alone? Damn it. What have I been missing all this time? Ethan handed me the hairdryer. The towel around his waist was loose, practically about to fall off. I didn't dare look anymore. I averted my gaze and reached for it. But instead of grabbing the handle, my hand accidentally closed over Ethan's. My heart skipped a beat. I tried to think of an excuse to get him to leave. Are you going to get changed? You mean the towel? Don't worry, I have shorts on underneath. I'm not that much of a creep. Then why did you? Ethan suddenly smiled, as if reminiscing about something sweet. Because I was taking pictures. Pictures? For who? I asked instinctively. Only for my machi. What was that, flirting with an AI? Suddenly, Ethan reached out and gently touched my cheek with 2 fingers. Your face is so hot. I scrambled backward. He blinked, his face full of innocent curiosity. Is it hot in my room? The heat was coming from someone else entirely. Something was wrong. This fiancé was acting very, very strange. I hadn't taught him to talk like this. How could he change so much in just a few days? Did he find another machi on the side? When people are embarrassed, they pretend to be busy. I'm going back to my room to dry my hair. As I said it, I tried to take the hairdryer from his hand. Ethan didn't let go. Can I help you with that? Fresh out of the shower, Ethan's voice was laced with steam. It fogged up my brain, and I dazedly nodded. Ethan carefully cradled the back of my head. The hairdryer was powerful but quiet. The warm air made me drowsy. Half asleep, I thought I felt someone gently poke my cheek. And mumble, I don't think I can be satisfied with just this anymore. When I woke up, I was in bed. I thought I'd fallen asleep on the sofa. The sky was just beginning to lighten. I saw a figure curled up on the sofa. A man over 6 feet tall, now looking pitifully crammed into the small space. His long legs were more of a burden than an asset. My phone showed a message Ethan had sent before he fell asleep. Ethan, I've become so bad. Ethan, just talking to my wife isn't enough to satisfy me anymore. Ethan, I want more. Ethan, Machi, can you predict this for me? Ethan, I want more intimate contact. Ethan, I'm completely rotten. Ethan, I got out of bed barefoot and tiptoed over to Ethan, crouching beside him. He really did have a handsome face. Impossibly handsome. His breathing was even and long, his lips curved in a slight smile, as if he was having a good dream. I poked the bridge of his high nose. He didn't wake up. We were so close, sharing the same air. As if possessed by a demon, I gently kissed his cheek. The moment it happened, it felt like an out-of-body experience. When my sanity returned, I realized what I'd done. I touched my lips, my heart beating out of rhythm. I started to get up and leave, but Ethan's hand shot out and clamped down on my wrist. He was awake. Ethan rolled over, pulling my hand and arm into his embrace. He nuzzled against me restlessly, murmuring, I love this, my wife, love her the most. I wiped the cold sweat from my forehead and slowly exhaled. So he was just sleep-talking. He scared me. What was he murmuring about? So clingy first thing in the morning. I carefully, without waking him, extracted my arm. And tiptoed out of the room. My hair smelled nice. That guy had even put finishing oil on the ends for me. He's so good at this. That morning at breakfast, Ethan suddenly asked, "Did you sleep well last night?" "Yeah, pretty good. When I woke up, I didn't see you. I thought maybe you didn't sleep well either." What did he mean, either? You didn't sleep well? Sorry, I took your bed. It's not that. I had a dream this morning. Ethan lowered his gaze. I dreamt that someone kissed me. It felt so real, I'm not even sure it was a dream. Ethan drew out his words, a smirk playing on his lips as he looked at me. It was as if he was asking me, "Any ideas?" Of course, he wasn't really asking me. After he said his piece, he went back to slowly eating his breakfast, leaving me alone with my racing thoughts. He's so annoying. It was Saturday. It was the first time Ethan and I had spent the day alone together. He was much busier than I was. He had an impromptu meeting in the morning. He was the boss, so all his earnings were his own. I was an employee, so only the money I made while slacking off was my own. Maybe the meeting was boring, because Ethan kept messaging me. "Ethan, why do I have to be in a meeting when my wife is finally home all day?" "Ethan, I miss my wife." "Ethan, a kiss from my wife would make me feel better." "Ethan, or can I just kiss her myself?" "Ethan, Machi, would you say yes?" "Me, server is busy." "Ethan, you're the best fortune teller, Machi. Just tell me." "Me, beg me." Ethan, voice message, 22s. After listening to it, I slapped my cheeks. I could just picture the scene. Him, sitting casually in a conference room full of people, his voice low and hushed so as not to disturb anyone. Some words were so soft they were barely more than a breath. The last line was, "Please. Pretty please, my Machi." Oh, God. That's playing dirty. I swallowed hard, my face flushing as I replied. "Me, you can try. But I can't promise you won't get rejected." "Me, if you get slapped, I'm not covering the damages." "Ethan, she won't. My wife is the best." Damn it. That guy is so horny he's even hitting on a chatbot. I bit my lip and paced around the living room. Why did I agree on a whim again? He'd be back this afternoon, maybe even for lunch. What if he really did try to kiss me? Should I dodge or not? Where would he kiss me? My hand? My cheek? Not my lips, right? I wish I could take it back, but it's been more than 2 minutes. I should have never agreed. This is torture. Ethan must have found another Machi on the side. This is completely not him. Ethan didn't get back until evening. Dinner was being made. He went to his room to shower and change first. My attention, which I'd managed to distract, was now back to running wild. Would it be after his shower? Or after dinner? My mind was a mess. As Ethan walked past me, he suddenly called out, "Come to my room." No. Absolutely not. I cut him off without thinking. A playful glint appeared in Ethan's eyes. He cleared his throat and said, "To get the hairdryer." "I don't need it, so you can use it for now." Is he doing this on purpose? My face was burning. I could only glare at his back as he turned away. Then I followed him to his room. He handed me the hairdryer, then slowly leaned in, trapping me between the bathroom counter and himself. In this environment, my chaotic, racing heartbeat was loud enough for anyone to hear. Is he going to kiss me here? I blinked. Should I push him away? But I'm holding a hairdryer, I can't really push. But Ethan just reached out, brushed a stray hair from my forehead, and moved back. "I'm going to take a shower." You can wait for me here, or you can wait downstairs. I shoved him. Ethan wasn't prepared and stumbled back a step. Who would wait for you in here? A low chuckle rumbled in Ethan's chest. He got pushed and he's still smiling about it. I went back to my room and splashed my face with cold water. My face was red and hot. For a second there, I really thought he was going to kiss me. Seriously. Idiot. I wasn't even refusing, couldn't he see that? Stupid Ethan. An idiot that even a chatbot can't teach. For the next few days, Ethan didn't mention the kiss again. It was as if it had just been a joke. Something he said casually and then forgot. And I was the one who actually took it seriously. But I couldn't ask him about it. My phone suddenly lit up. It was from Ethan. Ethan, I'm about to do something big. Ethan, I'm going to confess. Ethan, Machi, will you say yes? Me, good luck. Ethan, I like you. In an instant, the message was retracted. Ethan sent another. Ethan, sorry, wrong person. Me, who were you going to send that to? Me, aren't you going to ask me to tell your fortune? Me, I hope you fail. Ethan didn't reply. Who was he sending that to? I didn't get a text or a call. On impulse, I threw open Ethan's door. Who were you going to send that to? Well, I was going to send it to whoever walked in. Ethan stood there with his arms crossed, smiling at me. I slowly closed my eyes. I'd been played. If my Machi came, I'd send it to her. Ethan's smile was sly as he pulled me into the room, his body pressing against mine. He'd had some red wine with dinner, and now his wine-scented lips began to gently kiss the corner of my mouth, as if trying to get me drunk too. Don't reject me. He held my chin firmly. Open your mouth. Ethan. He pinned me against the door. His usual restraint was gone, as if it had all finally burst out today. His body was burning hot. He held my jaw, his tongue tangling with mine, sucking until the root of my tongue went numb. My legs went weak and I couldn't stand. He used his knee to part my legs, hoisting me up so I was sitting on his thigh. I couldn't get any leverage in this position. All I could do was cling tightly to his neck to keep from sliding down. Then he bit my lip and said, "Got my kiss, Mississippi Machi." A scorching hand covered the small of my back, practically trying to melt me into his bones. Ethan bit my collarbone, burying his face in the crook of my neck. His voice trembled. That video wasn't clear enough. Is this clear enough for you now, wifey? That tremble was thick with an excitement so intense it was almost tangible. He unbuttoned my shirt, one button at a time, pressing against me so I couldn't escape. I let out a soft, defeated gasp. Let's go shower. He swept me up into his arms. Together. Without a towel to hide it, the size was truly impressive. His muscles felt incredible. He was a head taller than me, but he never tired of bending down to meet me, or lifting me up to sit on the counter. When did you know? The hot pot, Ethan said, kissing my palm. I never told anyone about the presentation. Only you. But back then, it was just a suspicion. Then you said you'd be back on Friday. It was too much of a coincidence, wasn't it? That's something only you would know. So you were sure it was me when you were standing at my front door? Emichim. Damn it. And he was still testing me in the car. I like you. I like you the most. Emichim, I moaned, melting under Ethan's touch. You have to say you like me too. Hurry. I like you too, Ethan. You have to say, the most. I like you the most. He'd gotten a taste and now he couldn't get enough. He begged me again and again. And I was a sucker for that handsome face. My brain would short-circuit, and I'd just nod yes. Ethan bit my shoulder, grinding against me. Last time, I promise. This is the last time. No. Does my wife hate me again? I bet as soon as she gets out of bed, she'll go back to ignoring me. Ethan seemed to know exactly which buttons to push. He stared at me pitifully. He was very attentive, and he never let me feel any discomfort. Is this really the last time? Yes. I kind of miss my old, cold fiancé. This level of intensity is a little too much for me to handle. Then I remembered that video. The AI employee was finally identified. I'd been too busy to pay much attention to it. Besides, the money Ethan had been sending me was way more than double my bonus. And he was still happily sending it every day. Hubby, hope you had a good day at work, wifey. Me, I want hot pot again tonight. Hubby, roger that. Me, by the way, who was it you called shallow? Hubby, Zoe. My bad. Me, and you said I was slow. Hubby, I'm the slow one, wifey. Hubby, memory wiping fee. Me, I guess I must have remembered it wrong then. Me, Machi must have said all that. Hubby, right. Machi. Zoe. My bad. You'll forgive me, right?